Have you ever poured your heart into a conversation only to feel like no one really heard you? Picture Emily, a 27-year-old graphic designer in New York, standing at a networking event. She's talking, sharing ideas, but people's eyes glaze over, drifting to their phones. Meanwhile, someone else says half as much, and the room hangs on their every word. What's the difference? It's not about being louder or flashier. It's about being real. Carl Jung, the legendary psychologist, taught that true attraction comes from yourself, the authentic core that shines when you stop performing. In this video, we'll reveal 6 powerful phrases, inspired by Jung's wisdom, to help you captivate anyone by being your truest self. From real-life stories to practical tools, you'll learn how to connect deeply without trying to impress. Stick around until the end for the one phrase that makes people never forget you. Ready to transform how you connect? Hit that like button and let's dive in. Let's start with a moment we've all experienced. You're at a coffee shop, chatting with a friend, and they mention something personal, a new hobby, a tough day at work. Your instinct kicks in. You jump to share your own story, maybe about your own job, or a hobby you tried years ago. Suddenly, the conversation shifts to you, and their eyes dim a little. You've just missed a chance to connect. Carl Jung would say, you've ignored the anima or animus, the inner spark of connection that thrives on curiosity and presence. The first phrase to master, "Tell me more about that," isn't just words. It's a doorway to authentic connection. In this chapter, we'll explore how genuine curiosity, rooted in Jung's psychology, makes people feel seen and draws them to you like a magnet. Meet Javier, a 32-year-old marketing assistant in Chicago. At a team meeting, his co-worker mentions she's training for a marathon. Most people might say, "Oh, I ran a 5 kelvins once," or offer unsolicited advice about running apps. Not Javier. He leans in, smiles, and says, "Tell me more about that." Then he listens, really listens. He's not planning his response or waiting for his turn. He's curious about her journey. Why the marathon? What drives her? His co-worker lights up, sharing her training struggles and dreams of crossing the finish line. That moment changes something. She seeks Javier out later, not because he's the loudest guy in the room, but because he made her feel heard. Why does this phrase work? Jung believed that true connection happens when you engage with someone's self, their inner essence, rather than their persona, the mask they wear to fit in. When you say, "Tell me more about that," and mean it, you're inviting their true self to emerge. You're not hijacking their story or performing to impress. You're creating a space where they feel safe to share what matters. Jung called this process part of individuation, the journey to wholeness where you connect with others by being authentic yourself. Genuine curiosity reflects your anima, inner feminine energy, or animus, inner masculine energy, the part of you that seeks to understand and relate deeply. Here's how to do it. Next time someone shares something, a passion, a challenge, a fleeting thought, pause. Resist the urge to relate it back to yourself. Instead, say, "Tell me more about that," and listen without planning your reply. Try this for 2 minutes straight. It's harder than it sounds, but it's powerful. Jung taught that listening is an act of confronting your shadow, the part of you that wants to be the center of attention. By letting go of that need, you create a rare gift, the feeling of being truly seen. People don't remember your clever stories. They remember how you made them feel. And feeling heard is magnetic. Another practice is active curiosity journaling. After a conversation, write down one thing you learned about the other person. She's running a marathon to honor her dad. This habit, inspired by Jung's idea of dialoguing with the unconscious, trains you to stay curious and present. Javier started doing this after his co-worker's story. He noted her passion for running and later asked how her training was going. That small follow-up deepened their bond, making her feel valued beyond the moment. Why does this matter? In a world of distracted conversations, phones buzzing, minds wandering, genuine curiosity is rare. Jung would say it's a bridge to the collective unconscious, where we connect through shared humanity. When you ask, "Tell me more about that," you're not just hearing words, you're meeting someone's soul. That's what makes people want to be around you. Not because you're the most charismatic, but because you see them. Let's make this real. When was a time you felt truly heard? Or when did you make someone else feel that way? Drop your story in the comments. It might inspire someone to listen deeper. If this resonates, hit that like button and subscribe to Jung Psyche Hub for more tools to connect authentically. Up next, we'll explore why admitting "I don't know" can make you more trustworthy than any performance. Picture this. You're in a meeting, and someone asks your opinion on a topic you're not quite sure about. Your heart races. Your mind scrambles for something smart to say. Maybe you throw out a vague answer or pivot to something you do know, hoping no one notices. Sound familiar? That urge to fake it comes from a fear deep within what Carl Jung called the shadow. The part of you that dreads looking inadequate. Saying "I don't know" feels like admitting defeat. But in Jung's psychology, it's the opposite. It's a bold step toward authenticity. In this chapter, we'll explore how these three simple words, rooted in Jung's idea of facing the shadow, make you more trustworthy and magnetic than any performance ever could. Meet Sophie, a 24-year-old biology major in Boston. During a group study session, a classmate asks her about a complex genetics concept. Sophie's instinct is to bluff. She doesn't want to seem like the only one lost. But instead, she takes a breath and says, "I don't know." No excuses. No deflections. Just honesty. Then she adds, "Can you explain it?" The group pauses, then dives into a discussion, and Sophie learns something new. Later, her classmates start turning to her with questions, not because she knows everything, but because they trust her to be real. Her honesty made her stand out in a room full of people trying to sound smart. Why does "I don't know" work? Jung taught that the shadow holds the parts of ourselves we hide, like insecurity or the fear of not being enough. When you pretend to know something, you're letting the shadow run the show, projecting a false persona to protect your ego. But when you say, "I don't know," you're confronting that shadow, admitting your limits with confidence. This honesty signals to others that you value truth over appearance, which Jung saw as a key step in individuation, the journey to your true self. People trust you more because if you're honest about what you don't know, they believe you when you do speak with certainty. How do you make this a habit? Try the shadow check. The next time you're tempted to fake an answer, pause for 2 seconds and ask yourself, am I speaking to impress or to be true? If you don't know, say it calmly, "I don't know." Then, if you're curious, add, "Tell me more." This practice, inspired by Jung's idea of integrating the shadow, turns vulnerability into strength. Sophie started doing this in her study group, and it changed how people saw her. Instead of seeming weak, she became the one they trusted to keep it real. Another tool is reflection journaling. After a conversation where you said, "I don't know," write down how it felt and what happened next. "I admitted I didn't know the answer, and no one judged me. They explained it." Jung used journaling to dialogue with the unconscious, helping you see the shadow's fears, like looking foolish, aren't as scary as they seem. Over time, Sophie found that admitting ignorance opened doors to learning and deeper connections, making her more approachable than the know-it-alls. Why does this matter? In a world where everyone's trying to prove they're the smartest in the room, honesty is rare. Jung believed that facing your shadow, embracing your limits, connects you to the collective unconscious, where authentic human bonds form. Saying "I don't know" isn't weakness. It's courage that makes people lean in. Trusting your words, because they know you're not performing. Let's make this real. When was a time you admitted you didn't know something? Or wished you had dropped truth in the comments? If you've chosen honesty over pretending it might inspire someone else. If this hits home, hit that like button and subscribe to Jung's Psyche Hub for more tools to be your authentic self. Next, we'll explore why saying, "That sounds difficult," creates deeper connections than any advice. Imagine you're catching up with a friend who's struggling. Maybe they're overwhelmed at work or navigating a tough breakup. Your first instinct is to jump in with advice. "Have you tried this?" or "When I went through that, I did." You think you're helping, but their face falls. They didn't want a solution, they wanted to be heard. Carl Jung would say, you've missed a chance to connect with their self, the core of who they are beyond their problems. The phrase, "That sounds difficult," changes that. These three words, rooted in Jung's idea of empathy as a bridge to the soul, show you see their struggle without trying to fix it. In this chapter, we'll explore how acknowledging someone's pain, without rushing to solve it, creates deeper connections than any advice ever could. Meet Clara, a 39-year-old high school teacher in Austin. A student, visibly stressed, confides in her about juggling school and a part-time job to support their family. Clara's instinct is to suggest time management apps or study tips, but she pauses. Instead, she says, "That sounds difficult." She looks the student in the eye and listens. The student exhales, then opens up about their fears of letting their family down. That moment shifts something. The student starts seeking Clara's guidance, not because she fixed their problems, but because she made them feel seen. Clara became a safe space, someone who validated their struggle without judgment. Why does "that sounds difficult" work? Jung believed that true connection happens when you meet someone's self, their inner essence, rather than their persona, the mask they wear to cope. When someone shares a struggle, they're not always asking for a fix. They're revealing a piece of their soul, hoping you'll see it. Offering solutions, even well-meaning ones, can feel like dismissing their pain, as if it's simple enough to solve in 5 seconds. But saying, "That sounds difficult," acknowledges their reality without minimizing it. Jung saw this as an act of empathy, aligning with the collective unconscious, the shared human experience where we all crave being understood. By validating their feelings, you create a space where their true self feels safe to emerge. A key part of individuation for both of you. How do you make this a habit? Try the empathy. Pause. When someone shares a problem, resist the urge to fix it. Pause for 3 seconds. Breathe. And say, "That sounds difficult." Then, listen without interrupting. This practice, inspired by Jung's idea of holding space for the unconscious, lets the other person process their emotions out loud. Clara started doing this with her students, and it transformed her classroom. Kids who felt invisible began opening up, trusting her because she didn't rush to solve their lives. She saw their struggles as real. Another tool is reflective journaling. After a conversation where you validated someone's feelings, write down what they shared and how it felt to hold space. They said work was crushing them, and I just listened. It felt powerful. Jung used journaling to connect with the unconscious, helping you see how empathy builds bonds. Clara wrote about her student's story and realized that validating their struggle made her feel more connected. 2. It wasn't about having answers. It was about being present. Why does this matter? In a world quick to offer fixes, self-help apps, productivity hacks, unsolicited advice, genuine empathy is rare. Jung taught that acknowledging someone's pain without judgment taps into the anima divided by animus, the energy that fosters deep human connection. When you say, "That sounds difficult," you're not just hearing their words. You're meeting their soul. That's what makes people want to be near you. Not because you solve their problems, but because you make them feel understood. Let's make this real. When was a time someone validated your struggle? Or you made someone feel heard? Share your story in the comments. It could spark hope for someone else. If this resonates, hit that like button and subscribe to Jung Psyche Hub for more ways to connect authentically. Next, we'll uncover why silence can be more powerful than any words you say. Have you ever felt the urge to fill a quiet moment in a conversation with anything random thoughts? A story, a quick joke just to avoid the awkwardness? Most of us do. Silence feels like a void, a sign the connection is slipping. But Carl Jung saw silence differently, as a space where yourself shines, a moment of presence that speaks louder than words. The fourth principle, silence, isn't about saying nothing. It's about being so comfortable in your own skin that you don't need words to prove your worth. In this chapter, we'll explore how embracing silence, rooted in Jung's idea of inner harmony, makes your words carry weight and draws people to you like a magnet. Meet Liam, a 35-year-old artist in Los Angeles. At a gallery opening, everyone's chatting, trying to impress with clever remarks. Liam stands quietly, observing. Someone asks his opinion on a painting. Instead of rushing to answer, he pauses for 3 seconds, thinks, then speaks. It feels raw, like it's holding a story. The room leans in. His words land because the silence before them signaled they were worth hearing. Later, people gravitate to Liam, not because he dominated the conversation, but because his calm presence felt magnetic. They sensed he wasn't performing, he was just there. Why does silence work? Jung taught that true presence comes from aligning with yourself, the core of who you are, beyond the persona, the mask you wear to fit in. When you fill every pause with chatter, you're letting your shadow, the fear of being unnoticed, take over. But when you're comfortable with silence, you show confidence in your inner worth. Jung called this a step toward individuation, where you embody your true self without needing external validation. Silence isn't empty. It's full of attention, intention, and power. It makes others curious about you because they feel your calm, not your anxiety. And in that calm, they reveal more of themselves, sharing things they'd never say in a noisy exchange. How do you master silence? Try the 3-second pause. When someone asks you a question or a conversation lulls, pause for 3 seconds before responding. Use that moment to connect with your thoughts, not to perform. This practice, inspired by Jung's idea of grounding in the self, signals that what you say next matters. Liam started doing this at events, and it changed how people saw him. His pauses made his words feel deliberate, not rushed, and others began opening up, filling the silence with their own stories. Another tool is silent presence journaling. After a conversation where you held space with silence, write down what you noticed. I stayed quiet, and they shared something personal. Jung used journaling to explore the unconscious, helping you see how silence creates room for connection. Liam wrote about how his pauses led to deeper talks. Like when a gallery owner shared their own struggles after he didn't rush to fill the quiet. That moment built a bond that led to his art being featured. Why does this matter? In a world of constant noise, endless notifications, chatter, and self-promotion, silence is rare. Jung believed it connects you to the collective unconscious, where authentic bonds form in shared stillness. When you're at ease with silence, you become a lighthouse, radiating presence that others feel without you saying a word. That's what makes people want to be near you, not your noise, but your quiet strength. Let's make this real. When was a time you used silence to connect, or felt someone's presence in a quiet moment? Share your story in the comments. It might inspire someone to embrace the pause. If this resonates, hit that like button and subscribe to Jung's Psyche Hub for more ways to shine authentically. Next, we'll explore why saying "I appreciate you" builds bonds deeper than any compliment. Think about the last time someone thanked you for something you did, maybe a favor or a task. It felt nice, but it was about the action, not you as a person. Now imagine someone looking you in the eye and saying, "I appreciate you," not for what you did, but for who you are. That hits differently. Carl Jung would say this phrase taps into the anima or animus, the inner energy that fosters deep human connection. Saying "I appreciate you" isn't just a compliment, it's a way to see someone's soul beyond their utility. In this chapter, we'll explore how these three words, rooted in Jung's psychology, build bonds stronger than any transactional praise, making people feel truly valued and drawn to you. Meet Rachel, a 41-year-old manager in Seattle. Her team is stretched thin, but one colleague, Alex, always stays late to help meet deadlines. Most managers would say, "Thanks for staying late." Rachel does something different. After a tough project, she pulls Alex aside and says, "I appreciate you. You always show up when it counts." Alex's face lights up. He's not just being thanked for his hours. He's being seen for his reliability, his character. Later, Alex goes out of his way to support Rachel's projects. Not because she asked, but because she made him feel valued as a person. That moment created loyalty, not just teamwork. Why does "I appreciate you" work? Jung believed that most interactions are filtered through the persona, the social mask we wear to function in the world. But deep down, we all crave to be seen for ourselves, the essence of who we are beyond what we do. When you say, "Thanks for your help," you're acknowledging an action, something transactional. But "I appreciate you" speaks to someone's being, their consistency, their heart. Jung saw this as connecting through the anima divided by animus, the inner feminine or masculine energy that seeks meaningful relationships. By recognizing someone's character, you touch their soul, aligning with the collective unconscious, where true bonds form. This act of seeing is a step toward individuation, for both you and them, as it fosters authenticity in your connections. How do you make this a habit? Try the character focus. When someone does something kind or consistent, pause and notice their deeper qualities: reliability, kindness, courage. Instead of thanking the action, say, "I appreciate you," and mean it. Be specific if you can. "I appreciate you for always being there." Rachel started doing this with her team, and it transformed their dynamic. People opened up, shared ideas, and felt safe, knowing she saw them as humans, not just workers. But don't overuse it. Scattering "I appreciate you" for every small favor dilutes its power. Reserve it for moments when you genuinely see someone's character shine. Another tool is gratitude journaling. After a meaningful interaction, write down one person you appreciate and why. I appreciate Alex for his quiet strength in tough times. Jung used journaling to deepen self-awareness, and this practice helps you notice the qualities that matter in others. Rachel wrote about Alex's reliability and realized it wasn't just about deadlines, it was about his loyalty. That insight deepened her respect, making her words even more genuine the next time she spoke them. Why does this matter? In a world that measures people by output job titles, productivity, deliverables, being seen for who you are is rare. Jung taught that recognizing someone's essence taps into the anima divided by animus, creating bonds that last beyond fleeting interactions. When you say, "I appreciate you," you're not just building a connection, you're creating loyalty. Because people never forget the person who sees their soul. Let's make this real. Who's someone you'd say "I appreciate you" to? And why? Tag them, or share their quality in the comments. It might inspire someone to see others deeply. If this resonates, hit that like button and subscribe to Jung Psyche Hub for more ways to connect authentically. Next, we'll explore why saying no can make your presence more powerful than any yes. Have you ever said yes to something, a favor, an event, a commitment, when every fiber of your being screamed, no? You nod, smile, and agree, only to feel drained, resentful, or stretched too thin. That urge to please comes from a fear deep within, what Carl Jung called the shadow. The part of you that worries about being seen as selfish or unlikable. But saying no, one simple, powerful word, changes everything. It's not just a refusal, it's a declaration of your worth. Rooted in Jung's idea of the self, the core that knows what you value. In this chapter, we'll explore how saying no with confidence, not apology, makes your presence magnetic by showing you respect your own time and energy. Meet Zoe, a 29-year-old freelance writer in Miami. She used to say yes to every client request, late-night revisions, rushed deadlines, low-paying gigs because she feared losing opportunities, but it left her exhausted, with no time for her own projects. One day, a client asked for a last-minute rewrite she didn't have the bandwidth for. Zoe paused, took a breath, and said, "No, I can't take this on right now. No excuses. No apologies." The client was surprised, but respected her clarity. Later, they offered her a better project, valuing her time because she did. Zoe's no didn't push people away, it made her presence more powerful, attracting clients who respected her boundaries. Why does no work? Jung taught that the self is your inner compass, guiding you toward what aligns with your purpose. Saying yes when you mean no betrays that self, letting the shadow, fear of rejection or failure, take control. But when you say no clearly, you're honoring yourself, setting boundaries that protect your energy. Jung saw this as part of individuation, the journey to becoming whole by prioritizing your truth over external approval. When you say no without guilt, you signal confidence, and people respect you more because they know your yes is intentional, not automatic. This authenticity, rooted in the collective unconscious, draws others to you, not because you're always available, but because you value yourself. How do you make this a habit? Try the boundary pause. When someone asks for your time or energy, pause for 3 seconds and ask, "Does this align with my priorities?" If not, say no, calmly and firmly. No excuses needed. This practice, inspired by Jung's idea of aligning with the self, builds confidence. Zoe started doing this, and it transformed her work. Clients stopped expecting her to jump at every request. and her yes became more valuable because it was a choice, not a default. Another tool is boundary journaling. After saying no, write down how it felt and the outcome. I said no to a low-paying gig, and I felt free to work on my novel. Jung used journaling to explore the unconscious, helping you see that saying no isn't loss, it's liberation. Zoe wrote about her first no and realized it gave her time to pitch a dream project, which landed her a bigger client. That clarity made her boundaries stronger. Why does this matter? In a world that expects constant availability, endless emails, notifications, demands saying no is rare. Jung believed that protecting yourself connects you to the collective unconscious, where authentic relationships thrive on mutual respect. When you say no, you're not just setting a boundary, you're teaching others to value your time, making your presence magnetic. People are drawn to those who know their worth, not those who say yes to everything. Let's make this real. When was a time you said no to protect your time, or wished you had? Share your story in the comments. It might inspire someone to set their own boundaries. If this resonates, hit that like button and subscribe to Jung Psyche Hub for more tools to live authentically. Next, we'll wrap up with how these 6 phrases help you shine as your truest self. We've just walked through a transformative journey, guided by Carl Jung's wisdom. To attract anyone by being your authentic self, you've learned 6 powerful phrases. Tell me more about that. To spark curiosity. I don't know. To embrace honesty. That sounds difficult. To validate struggles. Silence. To radiate presence. I appreciate you. To see someone's soul. And no. To honor your worth. These aren't just words, they're bridges to yourself. The unshakable core, Jung said, makes you magnetic when you live truthfully. Let's bring it home with a story. Meet Maya, a 33-year-old barista in San Francisco. She used to feel invisible, always pleasing others. Never heard, but she started listening deeply, admitting her limits, validating others, staying silent when it mattered, appreciating people's essence, and setting boundaries. Now, her coffee shop conversations spark connections, customers linger, friends confide. Not because she's the loudest, but because she's real. Maya shines. And so can you. Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. These 6 phrases aren't tricks, they're ways to embody yourself, drawing people to your authenticity. Stop performing. Start being. The world doesn't need your mask, it needs your truth. Which phrase will you try first? Drop it in the comments. Your choice could inspire someone else to shine. If this lit a spark, hit that like button. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe to Jung Psyche Hub with the bell icon to never miss a tool for authentic connection. You don't need to be anyone else to attract others. Just be you. Fully, fiercely, unapologetically. Now go out there and let your true self shine.